Let me begin with this statement. Have you seen a hidden agenda? Hidden agenda means an undisclosed plan, especially one with an ulterior motive. Ang hirap makita, but we can smell it. Do you agree with me? Somehow, many of us, probably you have said like, or heard someone else said like, alam mo, Pastor Butch, I cannot point my finger to where the issue, but I can feel, I can sense there's something wrong. That maybe you have encountered people like, I know, when I met this guy or this sister or this colleague in the office or maybe this stranger, you can sense there's something that is not real. Our parents would say, malakas yung kutob ko, pastor, talagang hindi gagawa ng mabuti yun. Let's clarify, it's not about being suspicious. Iba yung suspicious, yung mukhang may gagawin tong mali ah. Iba naman yung may gift of discernment. The Bible calls it that we have to learn to discern. How I wish, maybe we all wish that we could read the minds of other people. In these cartoons, maybe this guy is saying, what a beautiful team I have. They just follow me wherever I go. But the one person beside him is saying, and I can't wait until I become the lead or the leader of this team. How we wish we can read all those bubbles. No? When you're talking to someone, you can see what is in his mind. But sometimes it's scary because when we look at the mirror, we may be seeing another bubble that says, you're looking at yourself, but actually we're deceiving ourselves. We are capable of that. We are capable. That's why the Bible warns us to guard our hearts lest evil comes. That's why Jesus said, it's not what we put in our mouth that destroys, but actually what comes out of our hearts and our mouth. Now, God has His ways of exposing it. You know, the thing about hidden agenda, it's not really hidden. You can smell it, you can see the shadow, but you cannot point your finger to where the issue is. We have this sense of feeling, and we can read. God has His ways of exposing hidden agenda. Today, I'll be talking about that. And I would lead you into a meaningful conversation in the Old Testament. I found this interesting story about a man who, after talking to God, speaking with God, hearing God's will in his life, and still, later on, I want you to discern the hidden agenda of this person. But allow me to give a title to our conversation as Hidden Agenda. It sounds the same. But hidden means pagan. Hidden means ungodly, godless, infidel, idolatrous plans or scheme. That's why the Bible, the message for all of us today is about a warning. Let us guard our hearts because it comes all evil, as the scripture tells us. And instead, let us be discerning. Check our hearts always and discern and guard. Okay, if there's one very important truth that I want you to catch as I show you the verses and I lead you into the story, there is one very, very important principle I want you to catch and I want you to see in the scripture is this. Circumventing God's will is an ungodly agenda. Circumventing means you go around. You find a way out. You find a way to justify what you want. Circumventing God's will, meaning we know God's will and yet we try to go around it in order to get what we want or to push our personal agenda or our hidden agenda. So it's an ungodly, although we know the will of God, if we have this plan of circumventing God's will, God is already warning us this afternoon, that is an ungodly agenda. The story revolves between these two personalities, and of course, God is sovereign in this story. How many of you are familiar with Balak? Balak, medyo sa pangalan pa lang may binabalak na no? Si Balak was the king of Moab. You know, Moabites, Ruth is a Moabite, remember? These are the nations. Kung kayo po ay napunta ng Israel, and if you're facing Galilee in the north, the right side of Jordan, when you cross the right side of Jordan River, that is Moab, the plain of Moab and the Midians. Now, Balak was the king of Moab, and Balaam was actually called as the false prophet in the Bible. Actually, the right term to address Balaam, he was a soothsayer. Ano yung soothsayer? Diviner. Soothsayer, taga-sutsut. Si Balak, mamaya you will find out may masamang Balak. Balaam is a diviner. In our present world, he can be an occult person, someone who engaged in divination. yung mga orasyon, when you burn incense and try to connect with the spirit world. Balaam was a diviner, a soothsayer. Now, let's jump into the text now. Si Balak, remember, Israel was delivered from Egypt and they were marching towards the promised land. So when these thousands, if not millions of Israelites, Hebrew people, were journeying, traveling, as they encountered different nations, they would fight with the kings, the Amorites, and kill them because God was with them. Now, when they settled in the area of Moab, when they reached the Moab plain, na-insecure si Balak. Of course, you're the nation, you're the king of Moab, and here he comes, you see, thousands, if not millions of people gathering and encamping in the plains of Moab. He got threatened because he knew and he heard how these people and their God destroyed the Amorites and all the kings that they passed through and blocked them. So Balaam said, I cannot do this. So he went to the Midians, the king of Midians, and he allied with them and said, we have to destroy this group of people who are camping in the plains of Moab. And then he said a message to Balaam, kailangan natin kulamin itong mga taong ito. Kailangan natin ng medyo spiritual cursing so that we can defeat this group of people because their God is powerful. So nagpadala po siya ng mga entourahe niya to go to Balaam. Balaam lives very far near the Euphrates River. Can you imagine? People journeyed, all the entourage and the princess of Moab. Ito na po here we jump into the verse or into the story. Balak sent this message to Balaam. Balak came to his house and said, a people, king of Moab, is saying this message to you. A people has come out of Egypt, referring to Israel. They covered the face of the land and have settled next to me. Now come and put a curse on these people. So Balak, he knew that Balaam had a reputation. So he came and said, come and curse these people because they are too powerful for me. Perhaps then I will be able to defeat them and drive them out of my country. Little did Balak realize, Israel, they were not offensive people. They were just passing through because they're going to the promised land. But Balak was threatened of the presence of these people. Ang description niya, they covered the face of the earth. Look what Balak said to Balaam. I know that those you bless are blessed, and that those you curse are cursed. He had this reputation. The elders of Moab and the Midian allied left, taking with them a fee, the fee for divination. Now look at this. They're willing to pay Balaam. When they came to Balaam, they told him what Balak had said. Spend the night here, sabi ni Balaam. Okay, you're from Moab. Sabi ni Balak, our king, babayaran ka namin, ito yung pera. Just put a curse on this nation, Israel. Now, I want you to smell the Heathen agenda here. You spend the night here in my house, and I will do my thing, and I will come back to you and give you the answer of the Lord. So the Moabite princess stayed overnight. I don't know what Balaam used in connecting with the spirit world. You wait here, I will bring you back, and I will consult. Because Balaam believed every nation has a God that covers them. So he would try to connect to the God of Israel and asked. Now look what happened here. God came to Balaam. Oh, this is interesting. God came to Balaam. I don't know, maybe when he was doing the card, the solitario or whatever, because Balaam is a spiritist, a diviner, a soothsayer. And then God said to Balaam, who are these men with you? As if God didn't know. Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, the king of Moab, sent this message, a people has come out, and then so on, put a curse on them. Sinabi niya kay God, actually, I received a message from the king of Moab asking me to put a curse on these people. Alam ni Balaam that he was addressing the God of Israel. Look what God said to Balaam. Do not go with them. You must not put a curse on those people. Why? Because they are blessed and highly favored. So that was very clear. Do not go with them. You cannot put a curse on the people that I bless. I want you to pay attention to this highlighted verse because this is a key in understanding the succeeding verses. The next morning, got up and called the princess of Balak and said, go back to your own country. I'm sorry, the Lord has refused to let me go with you. Half-truth. He did not tell them the real reason why. He omitted this portion because you cannot put a curse on the people that God has blessed. He omitted that. You know why? Because if Balaam said that to Balak, Balak would have stopped pushing his way to curse Israel. He omitted that. Why? Because later on you'll find out, si Balaam po, interesado may hidden agenda si Balaam. Now let's continue. Sabi ni Balaam, umuwi na kayo, so sorry, the Lord refused to let me go with you. So the entourage of the Moabites and Midianites went back. Si Balak was waiting. When he saw that Balaam was not with them, he got so frustrated. What happened? So ang ginawa po ni Balak, alam ko na ang issue, pera. Bakit maliit ba yung bayad na pinadala ko? So he sent another entourage, double it, group of people, more distinguished people from his country, sent back to Balaam. And this is what happened. Do not let anything keep you from coming to me, sabi ni Balak. I will reward you handsomely. Dinagdagan. Sabi siguro ni Balak, alam ko na medyo naliitan siguro si Balaam. Tell Balaam, I will reward him handsomely and do whatever you say, just come and put a curse on these people for me. Try to smell the hidden agenda of Balaam. Si Balak may binabalak, si Balaam naman may hawak na leaflet sa likod. May kanya-kanya silang hidden agenda. But Balaam answered them, even if Balak gave me his palace, ambisyoso, no? Filled with silver and gold. Baka naman ito yung gusto niya. Ayaw niya lang yung konting bayad. Even if Balak gave me his palace filled with gold, and I could not do anything great or small to go beyond the command of the Lord. Again, he did not say the portion that says, God said, you cannot curse the nation that I blessed. End of the story. He omitted that because he wanted to have the handsome reward. And look at the next one. Huwag po kayong may inis. Dahil nainis na ako nung binabasa ko yan. I got so irritated with this Balaam. The next verse says, now stay here tonight as I will go and find out what else the Lord is telling me. Sabi ko, are you kidding, Balaam? You already know. Sinabi na ni Lord, do not go with them for you cannot put a curse on the people that I bless. And here comes Balaam. Okay, so since nandito na rin lang kayo, please stay and let me just talk again to God. Baka medyo mahilot natin ng konti. Why would you do that? That's why I said, circumventing God's will is an ungodly agenda. What is Balaam doing? You already know the revealed will of God. And yet you're trying to find your way in order to get your personal agenda. Okay, can you wait overnight here? Let me just talk again. And that evening, he burned incense again and tried to do his cards and doing in the spiritism and the chanting probably. And then the Lord, amazingly, that not God came to Balaam again and said, this is a key verse. The Lord said, since these men have come to summon you, go with them, but only say, do only what I tell you. Now this verse is a bit tricky. Because if you read the story of Balak and Balaam, after this verse, nagalit si God kay Balaam. Why would God send go and then magagalit siya kay Balaam? Because this verse can be translated, the word since can be translated as if. Now, I got a new translation for you. The New American Version says, if the men have come to call you, okay? Pag tinawag ka uli ng mga taong ito, rise and go with them. But what Balaam did is different. Lumabas po yung kanyang, you can smell and see the shadow of his personal agenda. Balaam got up in the morning and did not even wait for the people to call him. Siya na mismo nagkusa. Medyo excited siya eh. Nagkaroon siya ng konting hope to circumvent God's will. Samantalang ang bilin ng Diyos sa kanya, wait, if these people calls you, then you go. Hindi na siya naghintay na magising yung mga at sabihin na, okay, Balaam, can we go? Then you have to go. Without even this man calling him, he woke up early, saddled this donkey, and went with the princess of Moab. What happens now? I want you to listen very carefully. Sakay siya sa donkey, with two of his servants following. When the donkey was marching and walking towards Moab, the angel of the Lord appeared with a drawn sword. Nakita po nung donkey. Donkey saw an angel of the Lord with a drawn sword, meaning he's ready to strike. This angel of the Lord is the same angel of the Lord that Joshua saw before they destroyed Jericho. The angel of the Lord, the captain of hosts. It's serious. So when the donkey saw this angel of the Lord, he turned to the left. Dahil may angel, natakot siya. So the donkey turned to the left. And then the angel went to the left side and tried to prohibit him from going. So when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, he turned to the left. And when he turned to the angel of the Lord, he turned to the right again. Until such time, this is the picture that I saw, this donkey, he walked so near the wall that he would hit the legs or the feet of Balaam. Sinadsad niya na po dun sa gilid ng mountain para Kasi alam nung donkey, I cannot go there. He's so scared with the angel of the Lord. So nung naglalakad siya, nakis-kiss na yung paa ni Balaam. Galit na galit po si Balaam. Pinalo niya ng pinalo. And the donkey turned again when there's no more other way to go because the road is so narrow. And the angel of the Lord standing there with the drawn sword. Parang inaharangan niya kung saan pumunta. No? Ang ginawa nung donkey, umupo na lang po. He just lay down and would not move. Sabi ni Balaam, bumaba siya, pinalo niya ng pinalo yung donkey. And the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey. And the donkey started to speak. At sabi ng donkey, why did you hit me 3 times? And then Balaam said, you make a fool out of me. Sabi ng donkey, am I not your donkey ever since? Yes, you are. Have I done this to you? Now, when I binabasa ko yan, why was Balaam not surprised that the donkey was speaking? Because he was a spiritist. It was not his first time to encounter a dog talking or, mga kapatid, if we are trying to circumvent God's will, baka yung mga butiki sa flat natin ay magsalita at sabihin sa atin, tigilan mo na yan. Huh? Let us not wait for the dog or the cat passing our flat at sasabihin sa atin, you stop what you're doing because what you're doing is not pleasing to God. God can use that. Can you imagine this? Supposed to be a soothsayer, a prophet, supposed to be sensitive with the spirit world. He was blinded that the angel of the Lord with a drawn sword was facing them. Sabi ng donkey, bahala ka, you can hit me wherever you want, basta hindi ako gagalaw dito. Why? Because the angel of the Lord is in front of me. And then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam. And he saw the angel of the Lord standing within the road with his drawn sword. So he bowed low and fell face down. Napahiya si Balaam. Nakita niya, I don't know kung ano yung pangitain, what kind of vision and what is the image of that angel of the Lord that really scared Balaam. And then the angel of the Lord asked him, why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Pinagalitan po eh. Why have you beaten? I have come here to oppose you because your path is a reckless one before me. The revealed will of God in the Bible is clear. If we try to circumvent, just to make a way around it, to get what our personal agenda, what we wanted, let's not be surprised if God can use even animals just to rebuke us. There's something wrong. You're heading in a reckless path. Minsan hinaharangan na ni Lord pinipilit pa natin mga kapatid Minsan binabara na ni Lord Panay naman ang pilit natin Minsan the Lord would close the doors, meaning there's something that is happening there because there are things that we cannot see, that we don't see. The donkey saw me and turned away from this 3 times. If she had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now and spared her. I was picturing Balaam face down on the ground and the angel was scolding him. Pasalamat ka sa donkey Kung hindi, kanina ka papatay, Balaam. It is because of your donkey that turned 3 times away. I would have killed you by now. Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned. I did not realize you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, if you are displeased, I will go back. Don't be fooled with those words. Sometimes yung mga pious words seems like, wow, okay naman pala religious naman repentant naman Don't be fooled because the hidden agenda is not actually hidden. And it will be revealed later on. The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, okay, go with the men, but speak only what I tell you. So Balaam went with the princess of Balak. Let's pause for a while. What happens after that? So they march. When he saw that the entourage is coming with Balaam, he was so happy. Sinalubong niya si Balaam. Maybe niyakap niya, why have you not come in the first time that I summoned you? Bakit kulang ba yung bayad ko sa'yo? And you know what Balak did? Sinama niya po, he brought Balaam in 3 locations, high places, mountains. He brought Balaam so that he could see the nations of Israel, and from that mountain, he would curse them. And if you read continually in the passage, they offered sacrifices to the Baal god, their pagan gods, and Balaam part of it. And for 3 times, Balaam would say to Balak, okay, make some 7 altars and burnt offering and wait here. I will talk to God. Again, Balaam, you already know the will of God and you're trying to circumvent. 3 times, sabi niya kay Balak, wait here, I'll talk to God. What for? And then he would talk to God and he would come back. And every time he would curse Israel, blessing comes out of his mouth instead of curse. So unang tayo niya, Oh Israel, you are blessed and Moab is not blessed. Sabi ni Balak, ano ka ba? Binabayaran kita to curse them. I cannot control. Every time he opens his mouth, blessings upon Israel. Then sabi ni Balak, okay, let's go to this mountain. Baka something is even better there. So he brought him again there. And the same thing, let me again consult. For 3 times, the oracles of Balaam are instead of curse, were blessing and pronouncement of prophecy for the land of Israel. The 3rd time, galit na si Balak. Okay, this time you can see a shadow of this nation. I want you to curse them. Remember, I'll pay you a handsome fee. But Balaam again, when he opened his mouth, instead of curse, blessing upon blessing was pronounced. Nagalit si Balak. He hit him in his hand and he said, you have to go home. And after that, 4 more messages, 7 messages of blessing to Israel. Now, this is the story. That's chapter 24. Chapter 25, when I read it, something happened in chapter 25. I want you to pay attention. The name of Balaam is not present in Numbers 25. But something happened po. The Moabites women, all the beautiful Moabites women, seduce the Israelites. And the Israelites get involved in the pagan worship and sexual immorality and idolatry that God was so angry with Israel, He sent them a curse and a plague. That day, 24,000 people died in the camp of Israel. Sabi ng Diyos kay Moses, I want you to kill every man who get engaged in sexual immorality with the Moabites. Kill them all. Sabi ni God kay Moses. And when they were having a meeting like that, merong isang astig na Israelites who came from the Moab and brought her harlot, her prostitute, brought this prostitute and walked and returned to their tent in the presence of the many of Moses and all the elders. This guy was astig. Dala-dala niya po yung babae. And I was reading a scholar that says maybe that person is an influential person in the community of Israel na parang sa kanya, untouchable siya. He could do whatever he wanted to do. So he brought this prostitute Moabite and brought her in the tent, and they did what they want to do there in the tent. One guy by the name of Phinehas got so angry, got a spear, and ran towards the tent of this guy and saw them there and stabbed them in the stomach, killed them on the spot. And because of this action of this Phinehas, the plague stopped. 24,000 people died. And God honored Phinehas. And the Lord said to Moses, I want you to go and get an army, go and attack the Moab and kill them and the Midianites. And they all went. And one of those that were slaughtered and killed was Balaam. He died without glory. In all the rewards, the handsome reward. Then I asked myself, what happened? There is no outside force that can curse Israel, but only within. The corruption from within. Oh, I was reading and reading. I reached the last chapter of Numbers 31, verse 16. Huli. A while ago, I told you, God has His ways of revealing and exposing the hidden agenda. Ang nangyari pala po, mga kapatid, after the 3rd cursing, na na-bless niya yung instead of cursing, umalis si Balaam at sabi ni Balaam kay Balak, actually off the record to may paraan kung paano natin sumpain yan. What Balaam did is advise Balak, send all your beautiful women, the Moabites pageant, send them all and seduce the Israelites, because if they get involved in immorality and idolatry, surely God will be angry with them and He will curse Israel. Who said that? Balaam. Numbers 31. Huli si Balaam. God exposed it was Balak. Why? Because he had a hidden agenda. He wanted the handsome prize. Circumventing God's will is an ungodly agenda. Minsan alam na natin it's a wrong relationship. And you still want to go around and push yourself and say, baka pwede. We all know that it's a wrong business, it's an illegal transactions, and yet we still circumvent. Baka may paraan Baka we can justify it. Sometimes it's already revealed. We don't have to pray anymore. Pag sinabi ng Bible, do not commit adultery, hindi mo na sasabihin na, can I pray muna? What kind of prayer ba? It's already revealed. Otherwise, we become like Balaam. Can you stay here? Let me seek God. What for? Balaam. This is I realize about Balaam. Sometimes we go to God in prayer, but if our hearts are not pure, we are clouded with our personal agenda and hidden agenda. Even prayer is not a guarantee that we will discover God's will. Sometimes pumunta ka sa Diyos, punong-puno ng sama ng loob yung puso mo, and then you come out as if gina-justify mo, I prayed for it. How can I be wrong? But maybe in your prayer, your mind has been clouded with the personal agenda and the feelings and the emotions that we come out of prayer without really knowing God's will, trying to circumvent, go around the will of God for our personal gain. 3 times in the New Testament, the name of Balaam was mentioned. 3 times as a warning. He was a false prophet. Jude and Peter warned the leaders and the elders of the church, be discerning. Patay na si Balaam, but his spirit can be among us. The spirit of Balaam is that, alam mo na yung will ni God eh. And yet pinipilit mo eh. Mayroong paraan yan. And you do an off-the-record thing. Maybe you advise someone to sin in order for you to gain your personal agenda. Si Balak may Balak. Si Balaam may plano rin. Naggagamitan yung dalawa. We have to discern the spirit of Balaam. The New Testament warned the church to watch out for that kind of spirit. In Revelations, when Jesus was talking about the church, the 7 churches, He warned them of the doctrine of Balaam. When we let someone compromise and we are the reason for that person to compromise, giving a wrong advice for our personal gain is ungodly. That's circumventing God's will in our lives. We are all capable of doing this. That's why Peter and Jude is telling us, check your heart always. Search, guard, discern. Because we may be turning into a Balaam. Or maybe we are hearing a Balaam soothsaying, suit. And if we are not discerning whether we are the victim or the victimizer, we are all accountable and responsible for our own actions. The New Testament warned us very clearly of this. Those who counsel another to act wickedly in the hope of personal gain follow Balaam's way. We're using friends, families, and circumstances for our own personal gain. We have to be careful. That's Balaam's spirit. Ulitin ko po, all of us are capable of doing that. That's why the scripture is telling us, check your heart always. Guard, discern. Why am I doing what am I doing? Do I have a leaflet in my back? Am I only doing this good because at the end of the day, I want to have something? I can get something out of this. Hidden agenda. Kumusta po tayo mga kapatid? Money has a way of revealing what really matters to a person. Even after knowing and even hearing God speaking to Balaam, it did not change the heart of Balaam. What would you do for the right price? Just to get what you want, our personal agenda. Sometimes you sacrifice relationships. Sometimes you sacrifice honor and dignity, family, respect. Sometimes we even compromise our faith just to get what we want. Poor Balaam. 3 times he was mentioned in the New Testament as a bad example of a false prophet, a bad spirit to be shunned away in the church. What would we do just to get what we wanted and dream of? Will we cause other people, innocent people, for our own gain? What good is it to say pious words? Wait here so that I can consult and pray to God, and I will come back to you. What's the use of saying pious words if our hearts goes right on sinning and using people for our own hidden agenda? It's very sad that this is common among believers and we who call ourselves followers of God. You know why? Because we were all born selfish with sinful nature. That's why it's not natural for us to be kind and to be pure. That's why there's a command in the scripture, in all things, guard your heart. We're like Balaam, known to be spiritual, using spiritual words. But our hearts are keep on sinning, going a reckless path, trying to circumvent God's will. Balaam went to God to get his duty altered, not to learn what his duty was. You see, we can all come before God in prayer, but only God can see who has a pure heart and a clean heart and a right spirit. Remember David who sing to the Lord, restore to me the joy of my salvation, a right spirit within me. Alam ni David, kahit na anong kanta ko, kung mali ang puso ko, hindi pleasing sa Diyos. We can even use prayer and still be clouded in our minds and in our judgment of our personal thing and still fail. And even believe after prayer. Nagpray naman ako, Pastor, paano ako nagkamali? Pinagpray ko naman eh. But did you come with the right heart? Supposed to be prayer is good for us. But sometimes if we are not careful, even prayer, we use prayer to circumvent God's will to get what we want. And when we do that, that is ungodly. That is infidel. That is idolatrous. That is godless. God is not present and God is not pleased. When we are walking on Balaam's way, it means we are deliberately rebelling against the revealed will of God. And we try to change it. Kumusta mga kapatid? What is God telling us? Are we circumventing? Baka naman may paraan yan. Baka pwede nating malusutan yan. Baka there is an explanation to that. There are times the will of God is very, very clear. And the revealed will of God is so clear. And yet people like us who calls ourselves Christians and believers, if we are not guarding our hearts, we will try to circumvent because of our personal agenda. Circumventing God's will, going around, finding a way to get what we want is an ungodly agenda. And if we continue to pursue in that reckless path, just like Balaam, we will end up be the loser. Let us not wait for an angel of the Lord to use a donkey or even a chair, even non-living things or even animals God would use just to correct and rebuke us. Poor Balaam. He had the ability to connect and hear God. He had the chance to put everything on the right perspective. Yet because of his personal and hidden agenda, his mind was clouded and his judgment was impaired. How do we put this into practice? How do we apply this truth in our personal lives and day-to-day lives? I think the only way we can do it is let us always guard, check, guard, and discern our hearts. Let's start from us because all of us are capable of becoming Balaam. Either we are Balaam or some Balaam is suit-suiting us. That's true. If we are not discerning, there are many voices that we hear that can corrupt us. You have to be discerning. We can either be Balak, using any means to get what he wants, paying just to curse to get what he wants. Or we can be Balaam, with the appearance of spirituality, found the revealed will of God very clearly and still try to circumvent because he was eyeing for that handsome reward which at the end of his life he did not benefit from it. I hope that we get this message from the Lord, that this message is a warning for us. Balaam is dead, but his spirit can be around. But with a pure heart, we can. A pure heart, that's what God longs for. Do you agree? When we come before God with pure heart, it's impossible for us not to hear God and be corrected. But when we come before God with clouded minds of personal agenda and so on and so forth, we will come out deceived as if we heard God. But actually, we did not hear God. We hear ourselves.